Thanks so much, guys, for coming along to this webinar here today on the benefits of EDR. We thought it's towards the end of the year. We want to we want to educate you more on the EDR solution. And I know we know it's the end of the year, so you guys are all busy, so we keep it to 30 minutes. But we hope that we know that you're going to get quite a lot of value out of this. So yeah, just wanted to discuss EDR with you guys. Thank you so much for coming along. My name is Rainesh. I'm a sales engineer here at Soft Solutions, as you guys know. Yeah, we're going to get stuck straight into it because I want to give these guys as much time as possible. Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks so much to the guys at N-able. Nicholas Burden, who's a security solutions advisor at N-able. He's going to go through the content of the slides and get you guys clued up a little bit more on the EDR. And then Alex Chandra, who's the sales engineer at N-able, he's going to get stuck into the demo of N-able and show you guys what it looks like, what it can do. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming along and demonstrating this for our partners. Just quickly on the agenda before we get stuck in, Nick is going to go through the EDR strengths and how it's layered into your security stack, and the remediation efficiency as well. Alex is going to go through the technical demo of the product, and towards the end we've got a question and answer as well for you guys as well. We might run a little bit into overtime, so the Q&A is optional, but we highly recommend that you stick around because I'm sure there's going to be some great questions that you guys will get some good insight from. Just very quickly as well, we've got a quiz at the end of this webinar, and we're giving away a Hendrix bottle of purple gin. So listen intently to what Nick is going to be talking about, and you might be the lucky one to win that. You can pop your answers to the quiz in the chat section on the widget that you've got open, and the GoToWebinar widget, and we'll pick a winner. Whoever's the first to answer the question correctly will get that bottle of gin, and we'll send it out to you. So without further ado, let's get stuck straight into it, and I'll pass you over to Nick, who's going to start talking about his slides.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Rainesh. Let me just share my screen really quickly. All right. Okay. So yeah, guys, thanks for having me again. I do really appreciate it, and thanks to the guys at SoftSolve for inviting us on to share and spread the word of EDR and kind of the magic that it can do. We really see it's a big player and mover within the space. So more than happy to talk about its benefits and kind of why it's so necessary. So this first thing here that I want to talk about, and maybe I'll give a bit more color of kind of what I will go through. So the first little bit here is where EDR sits within a layered security ecosystem. Then I'm going to go through why it's different and why it's better than your traditional AV. And then finally, once we've driven that home, it's why SentinelOne, if you are already using a behavioral-based or a similar EDR solution, why SentinelOne, or the solution that N-able uses and that's integrated, is the best solution on the market. So firstly here, we're obviously talking about a layered security approach, and EDR is one small part of this. So I'm not going to spend time talking about all different solutions. I'm just going to be focusing on EDR. However, if there are opportunities or if there is interest around layered security as a whole, and you're looking to break into that MSSP space, please reach out to SoftSolve and Rainesh, and they'll look after you guys. So here, what we're talking about, just be very clear, the AV is being replaced by EDR. So your traditional AV, whether it's Bitdefender, Webroof, SoftSolve, sorry, not SoftSolve, yeah, Webroof, and it's all being replaced by your advanced endpoint detection and response. So really, what is the difference between your legacy antivirus and your N-able EDR? The main difference here is that with an EDR solution is we're proactively scanning everything that happens on that device, and we're able to protect from a much wider range, of threats. So whereas your traditional antivirus is only able to protect you from what it knows and a signature that it has already seen. So an analogy I like to use to get this across is an airport security. So the airport security that is a signature-based or a traditional tool will only be able to protect you from something that it's seen before. So say it's looking for someone who's 6 foot, blonde hair, wearing a cowboy hat and an eye patch. Anyone who's outside of that description will get through the security. So they might be 6 foot, blonde hair, cowboy hat without an eye patch, and they'll be able to get through. That's obviously a big problem, especially with the complexity and the volume of threats that we're seeing. So on the other side of things here, EDR is just actively scanning for everyone that looks suspicious. As soon as someone comes up and they're jittering or they just look like they're about to do something wrong, then we're going to take action on that, and we're going to notify and we're going to remediate if that is the appropriate course of action. So your kind of day-to-day improvements that you're going to see between an EDR and a legacy AV system. So you're going to significantly reduce the number of help desk tickets for your end user experience. Why this is the case is because we are proactively scanning and we're on top of everything as soon as it happens. You won't have those calls of the client being completely blacked out because they've been hit with ransomware or they've clicked on something that they shouldn't. It'll generate more confidence in knowing that your threat incidents has been resolved. And I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, and Alex will in the demo as well. But essentially, we're able to streamline your incident response so that you're not having to just go in blind and try things and see if this has been hit or this file's been accessed and changed. So with our timeline, it's easy, it's automated. You can go in and you can completely remediate everything that's been done there. So reduce time spent on your technicians for the cleanup and remediation. It's the exact same process because we have such a comprehensive timeline and we understand what the threat is doing. The cleanup is minimal. And I'll go through some exact numbers with you after this. It reduced time spent on intelligence gathering. So again, this is really important from a reporting aspect. If you are underneath, I know Australia and New Zealand is very strict on this, especially in medical fields or financial institutes. If you are hit with ransomware, you need to report this. You need to have this information exactly of what a threat has done. If not, you need to pay someone else to do it, and that's extremely costly. And I've seen many instances of that happening. So it makes it less likely for secondary payloads to happen. So what happens at the moment with a traditional AV is you might stop it and you might get it and delete the initial file, but it has gone and spread throughout the network, or it's gone and embedded itself somewhere else. So with EDR, it's able to completely scan and remediate everything. And it reduces, again, finally just driving home that point, reduces the time of technicians help desk. So it's no educated guesses anymore. It's very targeted. It's like this did this touched this is what we need to remediate, this is what we need to change. So it's no longer the spray and pray approach. So in summary, kind of the main differences here is we're proactively protecting against all types of threats for an EDR solution. It is a behavioral based engine versus signature based engine. So that's very important to understand. And what I mean by that is just looking at the behavior of everything that's interacting with an endpoint. We have a 1 hour or less incident response time versus anywhere from 3 to 3 days, 3 hours to 3 days. And we have a one-click rollback as well, which we'll go into a little bit more detail in Alex's demo. So again, just driving home these points, I mentioned a few different features. So in our legacy AV, we really only have the ability to kill, process, and quarantine. This is obviously the threats that it knows. So if it's seen this signature before, it will be able to kill, process, and quarantine. The added complexity and availability they have with EDR is it's able to obviously kill, process, quarantine as well, but also we're able to remediate. And this is done all automatically. So there is no human intervention that is required in this process. So we're able to remove additional files that it's created, that it's downloaded. We're able to restore registry and OS configurations. And then finally, if something is to get through all of that, we have a rollback capability. And this is a one-click rollback where we can take the device back to before it was hit with ransomware. You will lose, we save up to 4 hours of of information on that device. So you will lose that memory or that work. However, it's a lot better than losing 2 days of information across 10 different devices. So our productivity and operational gains. This is what I spoke about with our incident response. So I don't know how many of you are actually doing a proper incident response at the moment. Typically what I find is most people aren't, because it is such a lengthy and strenuous process. It takes a lot of man hours. So typically what it is today and what we see in the market is, with the traditional AV, is a threat is detected. So a malware or whatever it is, an alert is generated. So usually within 15 minutes, it alerts and a ticket or workflow is kind of created. Some intelligence gathering goes along. So the responder gathers the information, whether it's time, drive, location. It's pretty generic description. It's not always automated. It sometimes has to be manual. And then we have our endpoint investigation. So due to the kind of limited intelligence gathering that has happened here, it is really hard to be able to do this, and it is a very manual process. So you have to go in and find exactly what files were dropped. And then that remediation process is just as tough, because it is all very manual. Everything that you find, you need to go in and do that yourself. And then finally, our response is complete. This is a very, it's a good scenario that it's 3 hours, but I've seen situations where it's been 3-4 days for a remediation, for an incident response. So with our EDR, what we're looking at here is we've got the threat come in, and that's detected immediately because it's proactively scanning everything that's on that endpoint. Our remediation happens in the first minute. So the threat is killed in quarantine with remediations to undo anything that's happened. An event is reported in the dashboard. So you'll see a nice pretty timeline that Alex can go through. Our intelligence gathering process happens, and this is really where we see the biggest benefit, because the more information we can gather about the threat, the easier it is to roll it back, and we can just do it like that. And we know we're 100% confident that we've gotten everything, and there's not going to be a second payload attack, or there's not going to be someone re-clicking on the same thing, which I've seen plenty of times. And that's all finished in 20 minutes. So worst case scenario, we say an hour or less. It's more likely going to be 30 minutes. But just to be safe, we lay on the hour side. So if you extrapolate that over a few clients, over a year or over a quarter, it's very quickly making back. It's very quickly paying for itself, right? So the final bit here is the detection efficacy. So this is all about why EDR and why Sentinel-1 in particular is the best solution in the market at the moment. And it's pretty clear that this is the case. So what we use to be confident in this is the most recent MITRE attack. So this was in April 2021, and essentially they tested all the EDR products against each other with 2 threats. They all had the same threats, they all had the same opportunities, and the aim was to try and steal financial data. So here we really looked at it over 4 main categories. So our visibility, our analytic detections, our delayed detections, and our configuration changes. And I'll explain what those kind of mean. So EDR, this is purely talking about EDRs, had 100% detection, understanding threats, it was real time, and it was out of the box. So what it means by 100% detection, every single step that threat was able to take on both instances, it found, and it was able to identify and put within its scope. It understood these threats, so it was able to take these analytical detections and say, this is exactly what it did. We need to remediate this, and we need to change it, again, automatically like that, within that 20 to an hour time frame. It was real time, so it was constantly scanning on this. As you saw, the difference, the time between a threat coming in and a detection is a minute. So it was real time, and it was completely out of the box. A lot of the other solutions required configuration changes, and the MITRE result actually allowed configuration changes. However, EDR and Sentinel-1 was able to do all this without any human intervention. So it was a very set and forget tool. So guys, that's really all from me. I'll hand back over to Rainesh to do a bit of a quiz. But again, I really appreciate the time, and yeah, have a great day.
Take myself on mute. Thanks very much for that, Nick. So I'm going to ask you the question now. Give me 1 second to share my screen. Yep. Okay, cool. So let's jump into this now. Okay, so here's the question for you guys. So if you have the answer, then type it into the chat box as soon as you can. But EDR incident response time with automatic remediation takes how long? A, hour or less, B, 30 minutes or less, C, 3 to 4 hours, or D, 1 to 2 hours? Just check on the chat box so that I can see it.
Sorry, Nish, we've got people putting it into the questions, and
Yeah.
and I can see a clear winner, which is Greg from IT Engine.
Oh,
so
perfect.
It
Awesome.
by a whole minute, so congrats on that, Greg. We will send you out that bottle of gin to enjoy.
Oh, good stuff. Congratulations, Greg. Okay, so let's carry on with this. I think we should just jump straight into the demo now. So if you want to hand it over to Alex, he can show the demo of the solution.
Thanks, Rainesh. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, see your screen. We can hear you as well.
All right, cool. Hi guys, thanks for your time today. All right, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the how easy then you can manage and deploy the EDR on your on our RMM platform here. Okay, so basically, like once you have the RMM or on your device, basically like you able to deploy it as easy. Just go to the device level, you'll be able to deploy. Just select, turn it on. Basically, you can select what policy you like to apply on the device. Okay, so you can pick and choose if you do have a testing devices, or maybe you just want to go to one specific device, you have these options. Okay, so once you enable the EDR, EDR will automatically install on your device. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply a monitoring check for you. We do have the script checks in here, like endpoint detection and response. Basically, this check will be check like if if there's any threat has been detected, it will kind of like give you a fail check, and you will get your notification alert, whether via email or via SMS. The other thing as well, like we do have what we call the script checks as well. Basically, like to check your shadow copy as well, whether you have a shadow copies in your device. Basically, this is kind of like allow you to do your rollback here. Okay, I will kind of go into details about the shadow copy here. Okay, so for the EDR itself, when we say like we done the integrations here, basically that you're not just kind of like create a policy or just after that you need to manage the device from a different console, but everything actually be done from the one platform here. So basically, it's a single pane of glass here. Okay, so pretty much quite straightforward. What you normally do is like if you want to standardize your setting, you come to your policy. Under the policy here, basically we give you like a default group. This is kind of like a system policy. You won't be able to change that. And in this scenario, I kind of like have one policy called detect only. This is where that you kind of like allow you to do a POC, like proof of concept. Sometimes like when you kind of like, you like want to install the EDR on your existing partner, your clients, whether because they have third-party antivirus. So what you can actually do, rather than you just do a protection, a full protection mode in here, basically you can kind of like select detect alert only. This is where that it will allow you kind of like install it side by side with the existing antivirus. What happens is like it will turn off all this automatic mitigation. So it will not kill or quarantine or remediate if any threat has been detected. But the beauty of this one is basically like it will kind of like the EDR will monitor and check. Basically, like if there's a threat has been detected, it will log into on your analyzed dashboard. So you'll still be able to do it manual mitigations there. Okay, so I kind of like will just kind of go through the quick on this page only. And then I will show you the live demo as well for the rollback functions in here. We do have a detection engine here. Basically, this is all like AI driven. This is a signature-less antivirus. Basically, this is all the engine will be used to detect the threat itself here. Okay. All right. Once you have your policy set up and how you deploy to your client, pretty much quite simple. You just go to the setting. This is where that you will able to kind of like, if I want to push to one of my client called AC base, basically like I just turn it on, I'll be able to select what policy I like to apply. Or maybe you just go to the different locations or different group of devices, you'll be able to do it from here as well. Okay. So the other thing that like part of the your management from the EDR here, we do have what we call the analyst. Basically, analyst dashboard here is kind of like a command center. Okay, so basically any threat has been detected, whether it's a full protection policy that you create or maybe just the detect alert only, everything will be logged in here. Okay, so what you can see is like any file that has been detected as a threat, it will be here. And then like you can see the endpoints, which endpoints that have the threat itself, reported time, what engine actually be used to detect that threat, and what classifications as well. You can see a ransomware, malware, everything will be logged in here. Okay. Of course, like you can drill down as well, even further. Basically, that if I want to look at, sorry, not 48, maybe 30 days. Okay, so basically you'll be able to look at like drill down into the threat itself. Okay, so if I click one of the threat itself, you have more informations in here. Okay, so pretty much this is quite straightforward. I think you understand that, but I will kind of like go into in details when I do the live demo here. Okay, let's go to the demo. Let's go to analyze again. So what I'm going to do is like I just log into one of my computer, my laptop here. So I try to mimic what we call the threat actor here. So I do have like a few testing threat here. I do have my important data here. I got a C drive and D drive as well. I do have my VSS turned on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run the PowerShell. So this demo, I will do the try to do a rollback. So once it basically like when we do have a ransomware or basically try to encrypt our file or maybe it will delete our file in here. Okay. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list or show our how many like shadow copy do I have in here. Okay. So I do have a shadow copy in here. Okay. So what I can do actually as well, basically that I can run the I will copy the what we call the thread itself as well. Basically as easy as that. Oops. Seconds. Oh, I just run the wrong one in here. Oh, no worries. What we can do, as easy as that. What I'm trying to do, I just try to copy on the C drive to see whether it actually try to copy paste. So you can see straight away, Sentinel-1 will automatically detect that threat. Okay, and now you can see that if we are looking at our dashboard, it should show, it will have this pop up in my dashboard here. Okay, now you can see the what we call the threat has been detected. The other thing is like I tried to run before, but actually like because it's not on the C drive, that's why I won't be able to run that. Okay, let's run this one again. There you go. Basically, like once you run it, you will be able to see like more threat has been detected in here. Okay, so let's run the try to mimic the threat actor. So when you have a threat, basically like what's happening is like they are going to delete your shared copy because like kind of like you won't be able to restore your files back, right? So what we can actually do here, but before that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete your shadow copy here. All right. Scenario. Yes. Okay. All right. Just let it run. It might take a minute to delete the shadow copy. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit here as well. So basically, like, you know, on the EDR itself, we do have a mitigations, right? So we do have the kill and quarantine is the first process. What happens is like it will watch and monitor every process is running. Okay, if this is like a threat or malicious, it will stop, encrypt the file, and move to the encrypted folder. And then we do have the remediations. Basically, like anything has been, changed or maybe added, delete the registry or change the registry file or add a scheduler task, it will be referred back to the previous state. The other one the other mitigation will be a rollback function. So basically how it works, it leverages the Windows shadow copy here. So how it works, like EDR will take a snapshot every 4 hours. So what we saying that, like, you know, in a scenario that if you got a ransomware, your file has been encrypted or been deleted, what happens is like to minimize your downtime, basically like you'll be able to use the EDR to kind of like roll back your file. So this is kind of like, we are not saying to replace your backup solution. Okay. Still doing the, because it got 99 shadow copy, it will takes a time. And also I think there will be questions is like, you know, how much storage do I need to have for my shadow copy? Most of the time that the recommended will be 10% of your hard drive. Okay, all right, so now it's done. So basically you can see that it has successfully deleted the 99 shadow copies. So now we're going to delete our file. So I do have like on the D drive as well. I do have my folder, very important report here. Let me just double click here so you can see what I have. I just got the RMM or just a report here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete the file. Basically, it has been deleted. So how are we going to, what we call, restore the file then? Basically, like our shadow copy has been deleted, as you can see, successfully deleted. So what we can do now, let's look at the shadow copy again. Actually, our shadow copy is still here. Basically, like what happens is the EDR have what we call a hiding port as well. So what happens is like if there is a threat try to delete the shadow copy, what happens is like rather than kind of keep trying to delete the data, basically the EDR say like, okay, yep, the shadow copy has been deleted. That's pretty much it. So basically, like, it will stop that actions. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a rollback. So what you can see here, basically on our dashboard here, you can see everything has been recorded. Okay. I can go to the, even though this is the most common questions is like, because PowerShell is legit software running on the it's a legit applications, right? Okay. how do you know that it kind of like it do something malicious? Basically, like you know, like something try to delete the shadow copy is kind of suspicious, and then from there on, they actually like record all that process. Anything related with that incident, it will got recorded. Okay, so let's say if you want to kind of like drill down a bit further in the thread itself, you'll be able to see it from here. Okay, you can see all this thread in here. Okay, the name, the thread indicator as well. All this miter trend. Now the main thing is like you don't have to like second guess or like why this file has been detected as a threat or anything like that, or these actions. So you can kind of like click this miter attack database. You'll be able to kind of like learn all these informations as well. Okay, the other thing is like who is the last login user, first seen, last seen, and then the other thing is like of course the actions in here. Basically, like what I'm going to do, I can kind of like do a rollback functions in here. Okay, when I want to do the rollback, basically I can say like this is a true positive, and I can just say testing and hit apply. Okay, so as easy as that, basically like it will kind of like try to do rollback to restore all your file as well. You can see at the back is here. Basically, it has deleted all my PowerShell file as well. It's ready to coming back. Now it's coming back now. Can you see straight away? So basically, like now the file is pretty much straight away back to your file in here. So you can look at the dashboard again. This has been resolved. They click it. It's been slow on my end. Okay, so it has been mitigated. Of course, like if you do, okay, when you see this, like why it actually allow it to run, basically like I use the detect alert policy only. Okay, basically that it will allow this thread to run in the device. But when it actually like full protection, when you run kind of like delete or the shadow copy, basically it will stop that that process right away. Okay, the other thing I would like to show you is the one I mentioned before. For your investigation, maybe you want to do some forensic on the device in here. I can kind of like let's click one of them again. So this is the same things that I mentioned before. All the threat indicator, where the file is located. Sometimes you might have the SHA-1 value in here. If this is kind of a well-known threat, basically like you'll be able to look at the virus total. You can kind of like look at the in this side, the relation of this the file itself. Sometimes they might have the same like MD5 or SHA-1 value, but they might have using a different name. Okay, so you have all these informations handy. All right. The other thing is quite important is this timeline as well. Okay, on the timeline it's basically like anything that detected, or it kind of like audit trail in here. So anything would be recorded, like when you do the mitigation, when you actually detect the threat, you'll be able to see it from here as well. Okay. The other thing is like the explore. The explore here basically that you do have this option if you want to do your forensic of the threat itself, how it actually evolve on your device. Because at time to time, like you might have like your client come back to you, say like, can you tell me like what is the threat about? Does it actually change the file, delete the file, what you actually do? By using the EDR here, you don't have a second guess. Basically, you can see all it actually been recorded in here. So let's say like event number three here, what command line you actually use, you'll be able to see from here very easily as well. Okay, so you can see like anything in here of this event. The good thing is like it kind of tell you like 197 file or 37 file. What file is that? You'll be able to just scroll down. You'll be able to see it from here. The path name of the file itself, the processes, you'll be able to see. Okay. The good thing is that now if you do need to export to a CSV file as a report, you'll be able to do it from here too. Okay. I think this kind of a report that is necessary, I think you understand as well. Time to time, like I think the it's kind of a requirement from the government itself. If anything, if you have a breach, basically that you need to kind of generate this kind of report. Okay. So one more thing that I want to mention is like you are seeing this how the threat actually evolved because I leave it as a detect alert only. Okay, but if you kind of leave it as a full protection, when you just copy the file straight away, it will stop the process. It will encrypt the file, delete the file from your device, or it kind of move to the encrypted folder. Okay, this is where that you kind of like, okay, I need to do a forensic. You'll be able to kind of like, just download the file itself again and put in your testing device and let it run. Basically, you'll be able to look at the threat, how it actually evolved. Okay, so that is kind of like wrap up of my technical demo. Just if you guys do have any questions, just pop up in the chat. We can go from there. I pass back to you, Rainesh.
Okay, so we're going to have some questions. If you got any questions, pop them through, then we can talk to you guys and get them answered. I haven't seen anything come through yet.
Hey guys, I'll just read out the questions because we've had a few come through during the session, and maybe you just couldn't see it. So first one I've got here from Andrew is there any difference between in effectiveness between the SentinelOne standalone and the RMM integrated product, and do the MITRE results apply to both? So, I'm not sure if that's a question for Nick.
Yep. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So no, the in terms of efficacy of and what it's stopping, both solutions are exactly the same. And so yes, the MITRE results do reflect the integrated and the standalone solution.
Fantastic. Got a few questions from Brian. When an event is detected and remediation starts, what is the user experience, and will this cause disruption to the user in any way?
It will not. So maybe Alex, you can add a bit more color to it, but no, it will not. They will literally get like a little box down the bottom saying that SentinelOne is working, and then everything will happen in the background. So no, there will be no user outage.
Yeah. So basically, like on the user device, it's just a pop notification only. So yeah, there's no interruption at all to the user.
Fantastic. He's also asked, how does the EDR service impact resource usage on the end device, e.g. CPU or RAM?
Okay, good question. Yeah, basically like what we get from our partner is use a lot less resources. In general, that normally what we see is only like below 300 megabyte. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. How does the product compare against more expensive products such as CrowdStrike? Do you have an information pack that compares them that you could use, that Brian could use to discuss with his customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I obviously didn't go too much in depth with that MITRE attack, but CrowdStrike is one of the ones that it was compared with. And it's probably the biggest competitor in that space, although it is considerably more expensive. So we can definitely share with you the raw data of that MITRE attack so that you can see it per hand. This is exactly how many steps CrowdStrike missed. This is how many configuration changes it needs, that kind of thing, and to actually compare them. So in short, better solution. We can hand over the data that confirms that.
Cool. Awesome. Also, how long is the timeline data kept for each event? Or does it get cleared after a number of days?
No, it will not. So basically, like it will cap at least it's about 100 files in there. But yeah, it will not get deleted after 7 days. If you look, I'm not sharing my screen. So if you look at my on my dashboard, I see can go back to the last year actually. So yeah.
Cool, thank you. Greg's asked, can we deploy to Mac OS?
Not at the moment.
Well, through RMM, yes. Is it? Yeah, through RMM,
Sorry.
yes. Or through.
No, it's direct, only direct.
Right.
We not support. Oh, sorry. For the
No,
N-Central,
through
yes.
for N-Central, yes. For RMM, no.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And is it possible to install EDR in a RDP environment?
Yes.
Okay. What is the price difference between old AV and EDR? I think that's a conversation Rainesh will take offline with Eric.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that offline.
Yeah. If the protection level is set to rollback, will it roll back the computer automatically, or do we need to force the rollback?
If you set it to automatically, it will automatically roll back for you.
Cool. And just to confirm with Ian Irvine, who's the vendor for the EDR product?
To be
The
N-able.
publisher?
Sorry, what was the question?
The EDR partner, the publisher.
That we work with?
Yeah.
SentinelOne.
Cool, fantastic. I'll just give it a couple more seconds if any other questions come through. I think
yeah, sure.
Actually, there's one more. Yeah, here we go. So if remediation level is set to rollback, does it still rollback for any threat or just events that require rollback?
So basically, can you explain a little bit of your questions again?
I'll just repeat the question. So if remediation level is set to rollback, does it still roll back for any threat or just the events that require a rollback?
Because when you do a rollback, you basically select what and the threat that has been captured in there, it will kind of like allow you to do a rollback. Then you just select that rollback. Any file that has been encrypted or deleted in that event, you'll be able to do a rollback. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so I think that's right. So it's not going to be rolling back everything. Like if it identifies something and kills it straight away, it's not going to be rolling back that device 4 hours every time.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Mark, if that doesn't quite answer it, then yeah, we'll take that one offline. I think that's about it. Yeah, back to you, Rainesh, for closing remarks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. If you did have a question, we'll review them at the end, and we didn't answer, then I'll come back to you privately. But yeah, thank you so much for coming along. If we don't speak before the holiday season ends, then have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And yeah, thank you so much for attending this webinar. I'll follow up with most of you guys after, all of you guys after this with pricing, and have another conversation after this. So yeah, we'll end the webinar for now. Thank you so much, guys, for coming along. Alex and Nick, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.